films, how about we take a journey into the world of films? I'm Solongo and I'm a film enthusiast. And today I'm sitting with two other film enthusiasts. So,
yeah, my name is Angie and I'm an independent filmmaker. I've been working on a documentary actually in Mongolia for a few years now.
Yeah, my name is Iqbair and I'm the founder of Mongolian Film Institute and founder of Altalis International Film Festival.
Right. And the reason we are sitting here is we are going to watch some independent short films. And the interesting thing is these short films are all showcased in Aspen House Independent Film Festival in previous years. So yeah, I'm so excited to watch it.
Yeah, me too, yeah. And even won some awards, I heard, some of these films. Is that right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think I have to say something about the festival. Altalis International Film Festival. It was formerly called the Altalis Independent Film Festival, but mostly we endorse films. We endorse films that are good, that are great. So in other words, we endorse quality cinema, and mostly the short films will be independently produced, and the quality, the aesthetic quality, the narrative quality, that's the best criteria for us to select the films and maybe award the short films in our festival. So from starting this year, we don't try to narrow it down to independent films or art films, just quality films. That's what we aim for. That's what we try to screen, that we select and screen in the world.
Before we watch the movie, I have tons of questions because I'm totally new in this independent film, and you guys have more experience, and you as a for instance, you make a film by yourself. So my question is, yeah, what is independent film? How should we understand it?
Well, I would say the first thing, the major definition of an independent film is the means of production, especially where the funding comes from. So a film that's independent is usually funded independently of a major film production company. So for instance, with my film, we gathered funding from, we did crowdsourcing, so we did an Indiegogo campaign. We got funding from some foundations, from some nonprofits, and we were able to, and we also retained the rights to our film. So I would say that's the major definition of what an independent film is.
So it's more like a definition for how you make the film,
right,
like independently.
Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
That's interesting. And I have a question from Michael. And previously, I watched some independent films, and there were many times that I didn't understand or I didn't know what to think about those films. And so maybe among our audience, there are many beginners for this kind of film. So what should we expect, or what should we realize when watching these kind of films?
As Angie said, it's just the mode of production, and any film can be independently produced, even commercial narrative films can be independently produced. There are many examples out there, but mostly independent films are made by independent filmmakers outside the studio system or outside the established studios, and they are mostly very idiosyncratic and a little bit not in the terms of the classic Hollywood narrative. They usually use narrative techniques like non-linear narrative, something like that. But it's a very big circle, and you can't put any easy description to it. It's many filmmakers are working on this field of independently produced filmmaking.
Okay, yeah, that was interesting to know. And I'm also very curious about one thing. And what draw you into the art film? I mean, independent film. Yeah, what was the force for you guys, for example?
I would say for me it was just watching films when I was younger, which is why I think this program is so great, is because a lot of people are going to get to watch some interesting films and maybe they'll feel something from these films or feel inspired. I actually grew up in Taiwan for 10 years when I was younger, aged 9 to 19, and it was actually right around the time of a really interesting film era for Taiwan. It's called the Taiwanese New Wave. So there are some famous directors of that era. One's called Ho Xiaoxian. Ang Lee was part of that era as well, but he went on to become a more I would say more mainstream director. But in any case, I watched those films growing up and really felt inspired by them. And when I got older, I started to learn how to do film editing, and that's how I then became really drawn to the idea of crafting my own stories or crafting other people's stories from the world.
The movie we are going to watch right now is a work by a Mongolian artist, and it is made in 2018. And I have another question from Iqbal. Yeah, what will you say about the history of independent film in Mongolia? Like, when did it start? And
I think for the moment there isn't any very big production companies, maybe 2 or 3, and from other that few main studios, most of the films are independently produced. I think they, compared to the Hollywood or European films, they make the films with very low budget. I don't think there's been any films that was made for $1 million US, mostly lower than that. And in a way they are independent films, but they are made for the commercial aim to make money, and that's what makes them different from the real art house independent films that are made in Mongolia. Very few times. I think maybe in the last 10 years, maybe 5 or 6 films have been made, something like that, by Mongolians. Yeah.
Including your film, right?
Yeah. I made a documentary in 2014, and that was purely independent, and also stylistically it's very slow, and there's no linear narrative or narration. Yeah, it can be called an art house documentary.
I want to watch your film too someday. Angie, have you ever watched Mongolian independent film?
The first one I watched was actually, it's called Uran Has, right? Yeah, was actually his documentary, and it was really impressed me a lot, because I feel like it gives you, one thing I love about that kind of film, the film that he made, is that you get a real sense for the people's lives that he filmed, because you're almost spending time with them in real time. So there's little editing and it doesn't follow a classical narrative. So that's one thing that I really loved about that film, is that I got this real sense for the characters in the film.
Mm-hmm. So now we are going to watch another Mongolian film, and after the film, I am so looking forward to hear your opinion on the film.
Right.
So right now we are going to watch film The Key. It's by Mongolian artist Namung Gantolog.
Тоглохоос өөр юм итгэхгүй. Өдий том болчоод ганцхан түлхүүр хямгадаа явчих чадахгүй. Салгалсан зүгээр.
Яа. Би тэр түлхүүрийг чи хаяагүй ш. Яг түнхэндээ ийсэн юм чинь.
Тэгээд тэр түлхүүр чи өөрөө хөл ургаа явчихд юм уу?
Би яаж мэдхий?
Битгий өөдөөс цор гэдэг чи. Миний үгэнд орохгүй лаагт чи хэлчих шүү шиг зүгээр. Маргааш тэгээ одоо яаж орж ирэх вэ? Дүүг чинь цэцэрлэгээс аваад би оройтсон штэ.
Эсвэл нэмэгийн дүүжих юм уу?
Тэгээ дураараа юм яриад. Одоо байтлаа айллаар явдаг болох нь. Гээ давраад бай зүгээр. Маа энэ ганц түлхүүр. Дахиад хаяа өөр түлхүүр байхгүй шүү.
Ёош, тэрийг юм уу? Яг нь оргоо ич. Гохиштгэн чамаа энэгээр яв гэсэн. Ирэх үе юм байж юу сүртэй. Ёо. Мөнхчөө чи пенатаа хэрэгцсэн байж тээ. Өө, тийм байж тээ. За хэдүүлээ явцгаа өөр газар очиж тоглоё.
Чи энд юу хийж байгаа?
Түлхүүрээ хайчаад чамаас асуух гэж ирсэн. Чи миний түлхүүрийг хараагүй үз?
Хараагүй.
Тийм үү. Чи миний пеналыг хаанаас олсон?
Хүслэнгийн ширээн дээр унтсан байсан шүү.
Ойр хавьд нь юм байсан уу?
Байгаагүй.
Одоо яана би ээжэд яг халуулсан.
Нэрээ түлхүүний түлхүүр оллоо гэж явж байсан. Тэр чиний түлхүүр юм болов?
Ямар түлхүү?
Манай ангийн түлхүү.
Эрэгтэй түлхүү нү?
Тийм. Яасан?
Чи түлхүүний гэрийн хаягийг мэдхүү?
Мэдгүй. Башаас асуух юм уу?
Багшаас уу?
Тийм.
За. Баярлалаа. Баяртай.
Баяртай.
Багшаа, би дүлгөөний намайг аваад авчижээ. Гэртээ хүргэж өгөхгүй бол та дүлгөөний хаягийг надад өгөөч.
Болохгүй. За маргааш ирэхээр нь багш нь өгчээ. За яа.
Үгүй багшаа, өнөөдөр монгол хэл дээр зөндөд даалгавар өгсөн. Тэгээ багш хийж ирэхгүй бол загнан нисэн байхгүй юу?
Төлөөнийх айгүй хол чи явж чадахгүй. За яа ганцаараа явж чадахгүй.
Тэгээ багшаа, би ээж автгаа явчих штий.
Ээж автгаа явчихнаа.
Баярлалаа багшаа. Ихчээ. Та бараан сандааны 85 дугаар гудамж 131 дугаар цаатыг мэдхүү?
Мэдгүй ш тэгч чинь.
Аха, та бараан сандааны 85 дугаар Аха. Бараан сандааны 85 дугаар гудамж 131-ийн цаатыг мэдхүү?
Мэдэн штэ. Энэ боломжоор 100 гарт тийш эргээд дэш өгсөн байна.
Баярлалаа аха. Юу хийж явж байгаа? Харин төлхөөр алгуулагчход чамаа төлхөөр олсон гэхээр нь хүрээд ирсэн.
Чиний төлхөр байсан юм уу? Хинийх вэ гэдээ асуугаад байхад юу ч дуурахгүй байсан гэж.
Харин юу ч асаагүй маа. Чи галз ороо миний төлхөөрийг гаргаад ирчихдэг үү?
Хүн айлны нүрийг цасаар угааж яхаар явж төлхөөрөө олохгүй яасан.
Үлээ татаадах та. Хордоо явъя. Би хант явъя. Кош. Энд ч жоохон амарья. Яах. Чи өдөр болгон ийшээ ирж ус авдсан юм уу?
Манай ээж би энэ өвчсөн болохоор надаас өөр ах хүн байдаг мөө.
Аавч ажицсан.
Надтай байхгүй.
Нүрэ чинь цасаар угаасан дуучлаарэ.
Зүгээрээ.
Эндээс барилгууд их гоё харагдах юм а тий.
Харин тий.
Нэрээ ээжээс төрүүлж чадахгүй бол баларсан юм болно штий.
За тэгвэл хурдан явъя.
Тэгээ.
Мэ.
Энд миний төр биш байна штий.
Би юм л төлхөр болсон шүү.
Юу ээ.
Дараагийн зогсоол зам гүрийн авт бааз.
Орон төргөө зөвчтэй шинэ 7 хоногийн ажил эхний өдөр буюу өнөөдөр өрнөсөн үйл явдлын баталгаа болгонгоо ууслаа. Ингээд байдаг тавхан сэнийг танилцуулах гэж байна. Бидний сонгоо үзэж байгаа танд баярлалаа. Өнөөдөр хөтөлбөрт орсон зарим үйл явдлын мэдээллийг хэмжиж байна. Эхний төлөвлөрийн 51%-ийг багцааж зээл авсан хэрэглээг холбогдож шалгаж байгаа. Эхний төлөвлөрийн захин дасан ганц зэрэг хэлжээ. Тэрээр энэ асуудал ямар ч холбоогүй гэж
Өөс ирцэн үү? Яахаар дэлгүүрээ орчих явчт юм бэ?
Хаан.
Юу хаана гэж ширээн дээр хачаал явцсан байж.
шинэ төв цэвэрлэх байгууламжийг барих ажил
Солон болон царайлчид. За, даалгавар чи дунд.
төлөвлөлт нэрийн дор нийслэлийн 400 гаруй иргэн хохироод байгаа. Тэдний нэг хэсэг болох чөлөөтэй бидний
Энэ хүүхдийн дэлгүүрийг яаж нэг хямдуулт юм аа бол.
Болохгүй л төлхүүрэнд наасар игээл үзүүнд нь зүүчихгүй юу.
Тэгт юм уу? Маргааш нэг хайхааргүй авсар хийхээс.
Тэгт.
was The Cave by Mongolian artist Nemangan Totlok, and which was screened in A Cave 2018. So, okay, to me it was so lovely, but first I want to hear from you.
Well, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very visually engaging, and I loved, excuse me, the main character, the actress, was so good. I mean, I just felt that I was drawn into her world because she was such a great actress. So I think those were my first impressions. Was just really being drawn into their world.
Yeah, I also had some question popping into my mind that do independent films, can I say use real actors, or does it matter?
Both. I mean, I would probably say usually they'll use real actors in general.
Yeah, but some films, especially in this case, I think they used a non-professional actress. Maybe she, I don't know about the actress, but she's very good at this, very good in this film. And maybe she goes to a, how do you say, an acting workshop for the children.
Okay. And I also think that Ihwair will be say something about the artist, Nemangan Totlok.
Yeah, she's very young. I think she graduated last year from Radio Television University, and this film won the Best Mongolian Narrative Short Award last year at a festival, and it goes on to win another award at the film festival in Denmark.
So Angie is a filmmaker as well, and today's film we watched was in the genre of narrative. So my question, I'm just curious, like, what's the difference between making a narrative type of film than other types? You know, like they're
documentary.
They are not documentary, non-narrative, experimental, and something like that. So.
Well, I would say it maybe is a little less different than people think, actually, because probably people imagine that, for instance, a documentary film is entirely out of the filmmaker's control, whereas a narrative film is entirely within the filmmaker's control. But actually, in documentary, the filmmaker, you know, in the editing room and in their filming choices, they do influence the film and the narrative quite a bit. But yeah, the main difference is that when you're making a narrative film, you're really, the director is really bringing their vision completely to life. Like, they have total control over how they're filming and how they're bringing that vision to life, essentially. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to talk more and more, but it's our time is up. And so from today's talk, I've learned new points today. Yeah, for example, like independent film is for everyone. Like, you can do film even with your phone or your camera at home, and so the film is quite very flexible. Yeah, it's more than it's more flexible than I thought. Yeah, so and thank you so much for your attendance and visiting our studio today. I really enjoyed the talk.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I really enjoyed the movie today, and especially I really enjoyed my conversation with my two experts. And thank you so much for your arrival to our studio.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. It was really wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. So we hope to see you next time with more interesting films.